So we're a portfolio company. So I always joke about it. It's like it's a pretty good business model. Think about what Josh Bear and his guys did was, and his guys and gals. Another Price was one of the founders too. They were VCs and they got tired of going to all these things. So like we're gonna set up our own little area. So they set up a cabinet factory. Austin is a small enough place that kind of this is, I guess because there's stuff like this, like in New York, they got multiple, they had several of these, but this is kind of a good deal. Just so they get, as part of becoming a portfolio company, they get like 1% of your company, and that becomes your membership fee, if you will, to get access to all the stuff. You actually worked Chapel Factory.
I did my skill bridge with Chapel Factory.
Okay, yeah.
And then, so I was a part of the defense team when I did my skill bridge, and then they hired me as the VIP manager. So I was the VIP manager for about a year. And I went and ran the team down at Techport for a little while.
That's interesting. That's, I remember the kid at the Fort Scott Air Force Base that made a big mistake as a Paul Air Force Base on a chopping block.
And then grabbed it.
We were living there, and it's funny because I've never, I don't tech process. I don't think they closed it all, they just kind of rebranded it. It's, nothing ever goes away, it just turns into
Something else, yeah. So it's like a public-private partnership.
Oh, no, it's German industrial parks that did the same thing in the fall.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool it's still there, so the guard base is there. I mean, it's all kind of the county annex, so it's a little bit attached to
San Antonio is so
we are working on reinforcement learning.
I had to go down to the black land, see all the stuff.
For optimal control, any kind of optimal control, complex logistics, we can
Can you
optimize.
say, so that makes
What is
sense.
Sorry.
Reinforcement learning.
Yeah, parking lot, you're like.
Auto-regressive or like?
Yeah, basically, it's not
But it
feedback,
is funny,
it's
because
reinforcement.
my have always been
Learning
myself
basically,
because the army get fixed me.
it's a whole
So when you go to the
Right, but,
I'm just like, how does that, it's, when they see a multiple surgery, I'm like,
what do you?
how did you get surgery? Just like a new freighter, so no training.
Logistics is,
We had that conversation where it's like, so what you're saying is you just need to live with pain. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I had a appendectomy.
where the demand
And, well, I went into the emergency room and turned out I had appendicitis, but, and then
How do you
AMC, and then ended up
that's a good
for
example.
looking
City
for employment in 2017, and finally in 2021.
warehouse,
Realized I needed knee surgery, because I was like pulling with that for years, so like, something is wrong with my knee.
people transportation.
So, yeah, because I deal with pain, something's wrong.
Those kind of problems.
And then I was like, oh yeah, turns out you do have something wrong with your knee, you need to skill it.
That's,
Oh my gosh, I had 3 weeks of physical therapy just to go get an MRI. For them to tell me, yeah, it's, I was like, well, I know it's gonna look like hamburger. For my shoulder, and they're like, hey, you got arthritis.
any kind of automated
And?
including vehicle, automated vehicle,
No, it's,
any kind
I
of
was shocked when I went to Mansfield, I was like, how does this place exist?
optimal, the problem space is generally good optimal.
Shut that off.
So any kind of optimal control problems, we can apply it.
You're here at Boston?
Yeah.
No, it's 6:30, it's like. I mean, you've been here a while, you remember when guess it's got better because they're not camping out, but now they're more, I don't know, I bring it on myself, I park over there, the church next door, so.
So now, so like, was it the box?
I got my DV plates on the car at the airport for free, and and honestly, the car's like 2011, so I just feel bad about it. Even though it's very like the boys, it's like,
I honestly don't have a
Hello.
good
Hi.
space in the defense area, so I'm very grateful.
I've never been to this room before. Really? Yeah, it's like more of the classroom.
What time does she take off?
We had a 6:30 like showtime, so. We'll see. Let's grab something. Ben's in the lobby, just trying to make sure people know where to come. Yeah.
Directly this way.
Yes.
6:30. Are you actually picking up?
No. Yeah, we're just gonna probably wait for it.
So using that.
Use the restroom.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, you want to come? I'll show you where.
Quick little lappy. Did you get your chips and salsa?
Oh, yeah, we went to,
which one?
For certain words, you said, we say, okay, he said, this is what he said.
So you do journalism, is that like a journalism, or you have publication, or what's that?
Very slow to work.
Yeah, extremely.
Are you from? I am a startup that's Castle Factory. So what interests you about it? Defense Innovation?
What's the
justification for So
now I'm revisiting what
as far as like startup goes, or as far as like
It doesn't matter, the interest, the views, why people are into it. What brings you here?
actually helping out my community talk for the startups.
This is a topic that you find passionate.
Sure. I'm passionate, it's like, just a retire on you, you're freaking working with the arts industry and I work with startups, so I bring a interesting perspective. I don't think it's valuable, it's valuable, but it's interesting perspective. No, we're talking independent journalism here, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said Army, excuse me,
Yeah.
what was that? You said Army.
Army Futures Commission, so.
Okay. I'm at ACC, so
Okay.
I'm connected with people who run the software.
Okay, so software factory.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Mike's software factory for
Our former Army,
no, sorry, Space
Air Force,
Yeah.
software factories, for Space Force. Air Force does the heavy lifting.
Yeah, I was talking with the director of learning about going and joining the bridge program, possibly as like a civilian, as a DA said. That's just a bit of a talk through.
To,
Here at Army Software Factory. Yeah. In Austin.
yeah. And how are the
Marines just like stood up an office, like inside of a room that's like at the very front of the hall.
Yeah,
It's
so
not
Marines
smart.
aren't they parked over at ACC with you guys?
Yeah, it's like Rio Grande.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I mean, it's, yeah, super interesting. Definitely love to talk about that. I mean, civilian side, but definitely.
Yeah, I'm civilian, so
Oh, okay.
I'm just a student there right now at ACC, but I left the industry. I used to work for Tesla before, and I went back to school for computer science and just happened into running a computer science club, and now I'm finding a lot more use to go and network out in a world. Very cool. Yeah.
So So I think the camera's red. It might be streaming live right now. Not sure. I think maybe I missed Travis when he came in. But just want to thank everyone for coming out. This is the first in-person for Accelerating Defense Innovation in at least a year. I know Eric Fram had stood up this meetup, and then, after COVID, got busy, and I saw just sort of the backstory, and I saw it sort of go into an open state, and I said, this looks like too important, there's too many people interested in it, to let it, just get purged from the roles of Meetup. So grabbed it and then reached out to Eric and had a couple of great conversations with him and with Alex and Ben. I'm just really excited to see sort of life breathe back into the Meetup, and I think we can grow it and have some interesting conversations over the course of weeks and the year. And I'm going to say the obligatory thing. So thank you to Capital Factory for sponsoring Accelerating Defense Innovation. Capital Factory is the center of gravity for entrepreneurs in Texas. They meet the best entrepreneurs in Texas and introduce them to their first investors, employees, mentors, and customers. And if you're interested in signing up for a membership at Capital Factory, you can find the link on the website to do that. So thank you to them, and covered those bases. So tonight we have with us Jessica from, and I apologize, I'm not going to do justice to your bio and background.
Okay, I'll tell you.
And thank you. And we have also Eric Pergola from Parasanti. You guys can do your intros better than I can. But yeah, just turn the floor over to you guys. I don't know if you want to sit up in the front or just do it informally, sort of Jedi Council style, however you guys want to.
I'm cool sitting because I'm a big guy and I get yelled at all the time because if I talk with my hands, it looks like more and more. So I'll sit here, you just not, just whatever you want to do.
Okay, so I'll start. So I'm Jessica Steinhoff, and thanks for everybody for coming out. This is super exciting. So a couple of y'all have asked, the history of this, and our boss. I currently work with a company called Gallium Solutions, and I am a partner and an advisor for a company called QBranch. So what Gallium does is we speak government so you don't have to, and what that means is we help you find non-dilutive capital when you're looking to do business with the government. So I have a couple of partners here that can tell you a little bit more about that. What QBranch is we're a global accelerator, so what we do is we help innovation find its way to the United States, and we're a soft landing for companies that are looking to do business with anyone and everyone in our country. So a little bit about me is I worked here at the Air Force Austin Hub when it was brand new, when innovation kind of just didn't know what it was going to do in the Air Force in 2017. I hail from the Air Force. I just retired in 2022, but in 2017, the pilot training transformation, or it was pilot training next at the time, was kind of getting its wings, shall I say, and it was out of the Austin airport, and there was a bunch. Who's familiar with pilot training transformation? Pilot training next? Anyone? Okay, just a few of y'all. So what happened was we still kind of do, but we had a crisis in the Air Force where we just we don't have enough pilots, and our leadership was like, how do we train pilots faster? So we were really looking at a way to transform the way we train them, right? So our 3-star general down in Randolph Air Force Base said, some smart pilots within the Air Force, we're going to train them through a new innovative way, and that was through virtual reality in a lot of different ways. So what they did is so AFWERX was kind of born out of that, and pilot training transformation, which is what it's called now, was kind of its brainchild, and they kind of did what's called the AFWERX Austin Hub, was right here in Austin, right here at Capital Factory. they were kind of operating a lot of pilots, were kind of doing all of what's called, procurement and buying things and just kind of making the mission happen based on a go-do from the 3-star. And if you have your own companies, you kind of understand that, when you're doing things just based on mission, sometimes maybe you're not cutting corners in a bad way, but you're just kind of getting things done. But what happened was a lot of the folks that are kind of in charge of like checking, crossing the T's and dotting the I's, they said, how are you guys doing this so fast? They wanted the contracting folks to have a little bit more of a say in that. And myself and Jorge and Resta are contracting officers, and we were kind of put and embedded into this team. So I was a part of the Randolph contracting team down at Joint Base San Antonio. And Jorge and Resta, if you've ever heard his name, he was brought and he was stationed right here. And then we were kind of embedded, and we started something called Rapid X, if you've heard that term. So Rapid Acquisition Procurement Innovation Directorate X, because everything within the Air Force or innovation in the military, we put an X on it because it sounds cool. So we did that from 2017, 2018, right here in Austin until about 2020 before COVID. Then we were kind of brought into the COVID task force and really just kind of looked at how does the entrepreneur and the entrepreneur collide and really transform the way startups have access to the DoD. So that's kind of my first bite at being embedded within the startup community. So that's kind of my journey. I will tell you, being a part of this community here at Capital Factory has changed my trajectory. What you guys do, like I'm assuming most of y'all are startup founders or part of startups, and the energy that you bring is palpable. And I have my own consulting business. I wouldn't consider it like a startup, but what I'll say is you cannot not want to help startup founders, because what you do every day is put it all on the line, right? So even though like when I was active duty, it was so infectious, like the energy that you guys bring, and I could not want to help you, like either find that non-dilutive or find that answer to like get you to contract, or get an answer to like find out why the Air Force wasn't paying you your invoice on time, because it's like literally so exciting to help you bring your tech to the government. So all I'll say is like, it is so exciting to like be a part of that ecosystem, and what Capital Factory allowed is like the space to do that, and they're continuing to do that. So like being a part of this community with like what Capital Factory does, and then their programming that they allow at like South by, or I guess maybe not just allow, but they like encourage or just continue to bring is so cool, and it's great that you guys like plug into that. So continue to do so. What we're going to do with this meetup is we're going to, maybe Michael's mentioned it, we're going to do this in person every quarter. We're going to continue to provide this forum, either through podcast or virtually every month. So, tell your friends, because we want to be able to provide quality conversation and give you guys as much information like from our brains. Like I've been doing this innovation thing since 2017, and we're continuing to learn a lot. Like, what we do at Valium is we help startups find non-dilutive capital, and when there's opportunities for, the solicitations come out, we're learning and we're helping startups put in those proposals to find that. So we're constantly learning, like at my company now, what the government's soliciting for. So we're, constantly like, even though I'm like out of the military, I'm still kind of plugged into that. So we're learning and still able to like provide value from a, outside of the, when the side events, we're still able to kind of provide that perspective as to like what the government wants, and we still know people, right? So it's kind of like, I have a lot of photo friends within the contracting community. We really want to provide a space, and like, not to say like safe space, but a space for you to come and say like, what is this? Like, who should I be calling? Who should I be talking to? And that's really what this meetup, like community that we're trying to do, and kind of like reinvigorate, because it's been around, but we just we're kind of just really trying to bring it back to life, I think. We invited Eric, and I'm going to give him the floor. He has a very interesting background, but what he's a part of right now, he is in an amazing startup that has good, gained some amazing traction. So I want him to kind of give you his experience. Like I told him, I said, please tell the audience the good, the bad, and the ugly, like what he's experienced, like good things, bad things, how tough it was, but then also like why it's worth it and why his company continues to put in bids to do government work. What he's doing is really cool, and the tech that he provides and gives to the warfighter is worth it. I will say it's really, really awesome. Like we just had a company like get an award notification for something they put in a couple weeks, like I don't know, a month or so ago, and there's nothing better. Like, I think we put in a couple proposals for them, right? And it's like maybe they've gotten a couple no's, or it's like there's just things that are hanging out there. And I'm sure if you're in the space, you understand. You maybe put 5 or 6, and either you get no's or you just never hear anything. And it's like, gosh, what am I doing this for? This sucks, right? But when you get that, like you're selected, it is so worth it, right? It's like, yes, finally. So we just got that, I think it was yesterday, and we're a part of a company that, like, we get to be a part of that fate, like you become a part of our family, and it's so exciting to be like, oh my gosh, yes, like finally a win. Because what they're doing is like helping the warfighter. That's I know if you're here, that's what you want to do too. So once Eric kind of tells you his story, we plan to open it up for Q&A, and then we will have some time for networking because we want you guys to get to know each other as well. But we're really happy you're here, and we hope that, like, please exchange LinkedIn's and cards or whatever you brought, because we hope that this is really valuable and a place that you guys find that you can come every quarter, and like we just grow this community. We plan to meet next time probably on the 8th floor. We just kind of chatted with Jim, and maybe bring more of like the DoD community that's working out of this space, so you guys can meet those folks. But yeah, so all right, I'm off my soapbox. Eric.
So, Eric Perlow, I'm a recovering DoD person. To your point, I will say the cool thing from Jessica's point about being happy for the company winning the first bid proposal. On the other side, the DoD side, I think the biggest challenge that I know Jessica's seen this, I've seen this, and I'll tell you my background after I get through the company piece is there are companies out there that are very good at writing proposals, they don't have the tech. And then there's companies out there that have the tech and they suck at writing proposals. And it's always one of those, obviously the sweet spot's both, but at the end of the day it's cool for a true believer that the guys and gals with the cool tech that the warfighter could use actually want to get selected, because a lot of times we've had experiences being that DoD person with the flashy, cool PowerPoint slides that we all get, impressed with, and we pick the wrong horse. So it's always good to see that. So just understand, this is my shameless plug for Galleon, but it's people like that who actually, they're not just helping you get the proposals, they're actually like checking your stuff because they actually have a horse in the fight. So I'm currently with Parasanti, which is a edge software computing company, and it's like, what is that? Okay, so at the end of the day, it's real edge computing, a lot of back to the future, going back to on-prem, and really focusing on Internet of Things. What we particularly do is we like to talk about bringing interoperability, because again, the challenge you have is there's a lot of stuff out there. People have already spent a lot of money, especially with the DoD. How do we tie those together? We also do autonomy enablement. We've successfully deployed AI ML workloads at the edge, as well as workload orchestration. So, and to that point, we are currently bootstrapped. I wouldn't say we're doing gangbusters. I just joke about it. We're kind of like we're a character actor phase right now as a startup. So we're paying the bills. We're not, washing dishes on the side. We've got contracts. We've also got some challenge with contracts right now. We're at a point where a prototype OTA has got to make the leap to the production or a production contract, and a lot of that's predicated on Congress passing the FY25 bill. which this being election year, we're kind of looking for other alternatives to make sure we got enough money and runway to make it to when the FY25 budget gets passed, probably somewhere mid-25, 26 timeframe. We've been around since 2019. Right now, we're about 7 people in the company, plus or minus, kind of fluctuate. Again, that goes back to we've had the luxury, because we've been bootstrapped, to be able to pivot on some things. So there's the luxury and also the challenges of not being, having a seed round or a Series A, because we don't have to worry about. And we obviously have our own board, but at the end of the day, we don't have to worry about outside investment per se. We're a Capital Factory portfolio company, which is also a huge benefit. And to throw another plug for Capital Factory, as an active duty officer, I went and I threw a lot of my money towards the University of Texas. Nothing wrong with that, but there's a program called Master of Science in Technology Commercialization. And halfway through the course, I realized most of the teachers over there were teaching classes on the 16th floor of Capital Factory. So if you're a member of Capital Factory, go take those classes from the people on the 16th floor. They're the same people doing the MBA Light classes at the University of Texas. So however you want to go about that. So my background, I'm a retired Army officer, retired out of here. My last job was out of Army Futures Command, working upstairs in the 8th floor Army Applications Lab. So like I said, one of my challenges is I drink the Kool-Aid. I'm a true believer. I still am. I still think, because if you go back to why people like Jessica were stationed here and the contracting officers were given the authorities and things, is at the end of the day is the big push within the defense the Defense Department is the challenges in the 90s. They consolidated all the defense industries because of the cost savings. The Cold War had ended, and now we're fast forward to current day. Everything's so expensive because there's only 5 effective people you can buy from. So the idea is how does the government make more competition? Competition drives down cost, allows new and innovative ideas to come in, and that's what's I think still going on here, attempting to happen within the DoD innovation ecosystem. So, so I can talk to you about, like I said, I think this is more of a discussion. I can give you the cool stuff. I can give you the party line. When I was working on the applications lab, I joked about fast followers with a lot of stuff that AFWorks was doing. We saw some of the stuff they did. We tried to do different things too. Some of the stuff that the programs I was with was more taking parts and pieces. A lot of what kind of DIU does too. We're cobbling them together and build a system of systems, if you will. So take best in show, if you will. And so we had some successes there. The challenges, as usual, this just goes back to one of the challenges when, if you're going after DoD research and development contracts, SBIR is great for non-dilutive capital. But if you think that's going to be your way into the government for a government contract, look at other options. Just don't. It happens. There's success stories out there, but at the end of the day, is we see as a company, and our company is mostly veterans, and that's probably the reason why we're still playing in the DoD space. We've dabbled in outside of the DoD space, oil and gas, for example, which does not have very good profit margins. They don't like to invest in new technology, so we picked the worst in DoD to go after, but that's a whole other discussion. But the SBIR program is great, but it has a downfall because some of those topics, or sometimes you show up with an open topic and you don't necessarily have somebody who has a budget or line item because it's a 5-year program management or POM cycle to get to the budget. So I probably ran through at this point, but there's all kinds of opportunities, but there's also just I think the challenge I see as a guy who's been on both sides is we just went through South by. How many people sat through the program at South by? So there's some good stuff in there. We listen to the talks. I love listening to the TPOCs, talks to the SBIR on the 8th floor. That was eye-opening, and I've been in TPOC. Some of the stuff they were looking for, I took great notes. But at the same time, I think it's also just be mindful of there's other opportunities out there that aren't within the silver to get access to the government, and I would say that's probably, I think that's what companies like Guy and Jessica and them do, try to find those avenues in there, because that's probably the hardest nut to crack. Because that's when you're really going against the people who have business development teams that are calling Congress, and they're like, hey, directed ad, these kind of things, where you're finding a really open bound. I guess kick it over to you to talk.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that both perspectives, I think, super valuable. I mean, a lot of the things you're saying, can relate to like a company that's like 4 engineers, one person who dabbles in a bit of business development, and everyone is like, wearing different hats, and you're still trying to, work on your product and find that right customer. And then you get into the cycle of, okay, an RFI or RFP drops, and we got a 30-page PWS, and then all of a sudden, all of your engineers are like reading for requirements. Yeah, and like instantly you realize that this is something that we need help with, and we don't just need like ChatGPT and like tools that you need people who know how to do it, so that your engineers can ship code, and the people who are doing like business development can get to conferences and meet people. And it's just like I see it as it's an investment that, like, when you're trying to get from 0 to 1, it's actually part of the formula is to have, like, I don't know if people still say Sherpas, but you kind of really do need that person, that team there for you. Otherwise, you just, when you're trying to spin all the plates and wear all the hats, then, everything just kind of.
Well, and I would say, from our perspective, our company's perspective, and this is, our CEO is a retired 3-star, so we thought we knew what we were doing, right? When it comes to government stuff, we have spent money and gone to things like Soffic, which is cool. I mean, there's nothing wrong with hanging out camp for a week, seeing a bunch of special ops guys, doing cool stuff, it's when you talk about those conferences and BD stuff, it's like really be very laser focused on what the ROI is, as opposed to, because your challenge you're going to run into, I think all of us run into is there's like this pressure to go to everything. It's like, oh, I got to go there, I got to show my face, I got to pay money to sit there at a booth, and I've done startup crawls ad nauseum. To startup crawls, we've actually got pretty value here because they're also very low cost. But that's the challenge is, to your point, I think is from a startup perspective, is your barriers to entry, you've got to understand, be very wide-eyed or very open-eyed about them, and be very selective. And it's okay not to go to certain things, just because depending on what your return on investment is. Because the challenge you've got right now is, I think what I've seen on both sides is the government will host things. I remember when I was on active duty, I had to explain, that was actually a comment from the general officer who said, well, Microsoft will do that for free, or Lockheed Martin will do that for free. It's like, no, sir, it won't. They won't. They'll just pad that into the cost of the goods when you finally buy it. That's why your hammer costs $800, right? So, they'll invite you to come sit in the desert for a week. We had a company that would have taken the entire 40-person company out to the desert for 2 weeks to do a demonstration, so that some VIPs could fly in for a whopping 30 minutes to look at their stuff. And the problem is, the discussion with the company was, they were like, hey, we can do this, but we're shutting down our entire operation, and you're literally losing 2 weeks of productivity to showcase, which, when you're Lockheed Martin. So that's what you're competing against, and that's not like to say don't try, but it's more like to be very open-eyed to understand what you're going to invest your time and money.
And I would say be careful too, like, I think it's difficult to discern who you're going to go meet with or take meetings with, because there's something like implied authority and express authority. There's a lot of times that people will tell you, yes, I want to do that, and you'll think, oh, this person has the authority to like make a budgetary decision and say yes to your tech, or give you a contract, but there's a very distinct difference between them being able to do that. Like, the only person that can move money in the government is a warranted contracting officer. So there's a process, right? So like, if you're meeting with someone in a squadron or you're meeting a general, 9 times out of 10, they do not have a warrant, right? There is a very distinct process for that person like that you're talking to. So like, you've got to be really cautious to like understand that, and it can be confusing, right, to the startup or like, you know, to the founder, because you're like, well, you said you wanted this, so can't you just give me the money? Like, it's a long process to get a contract, and there's this very like bureaucratic way for them to like ask for an RFP, and it takes time, and you know, like, it's not like industry where, you know, they can just kind of move the money. There's only one person within the government, and they have to like have the authority to do it. So just don't get caught in the in the churn of this, like, well, this person I talked to and I met with, or I flew there, and they said they want, you know, my really cool widget, and now I didn't get a contract, and like, or I don't have a purchase order. Well, it's probably because they weren't the right person, and maybe they didn't, you know, like, so there's, you have to be really careful to not, you know, get stuck in that, and then there you've spent, you know, time and travel or things on something that like they just didn't intend to like run you down the rabbit hole.
And to Jessica's point, I understand the contracting officer, because I mean, I always joke about it. I mean, Leavenworth, you ever heard Leavenworth is the prison they send military people to jail, right? So there's 2 types of people in Leavenworth: murderers and rapists, and contracting officers. Because everybody else in this screw, they just kick them out. So you know, contracting officers are super professional. They have to follow the federal acquisition regulations, and what's scary about their job is they can go to jail for screwing up. So they're not going to shortcut things, regardless of the general telling them, you know, to make it happen. They will do everything they can within the confines of law. But to that point is you got to understand there's going to be the bureaucracy that has to be done in order for them to make it happen.
Yep. Okay. What questions do you guys have? You know, like, is there something you came to like learn about, or you got like on the tip of your brain or tongue to be like, something, yeah.
Perhaps I can go first.
Yeah.
So I have a early stage startup in Austin. We don't have even our first customer, but we have, in our mind, we have a very cool technology, which is basically optimizing any kind of complex logistics, optimal control, those kind of things using reinforcement learning, which is kind of the bleeding edge kind of technology. But we don't even know where to start in terms of trying to find an opportunity with the Department of Defense, because when I just think about it, yeah, they have to be interested in this kind of stuff, because they do a lot of automation, vehicle automation, gaming, complex logistics, combat logistics. So those problems seem to be out there, but we don't know where to start. So that is why I'm actually here. So I'm very curious.
You have commercial traction?
Huh?
You have commercial traction?
I don't have any
No
commercial
commercial
traction. I just have prototypes of our technology which demonstrates that it works. But beyond that, you know, we have been thinking about SBA or STTR. Again, that requires sponsorship, right? Basically, somebody has to say, this is an interesting problem. We are willing to put our sweat into it, right? Without, you know, any kind of remuneration from the beginning. But eventually, it has to lead to something good based on solid use cases.
Yeah. I don't want to monopolize the conversation. Ben, do you want to talk to this, like dual use and just kind of like commercialization?
Yeah, sure. The 2 things that I would point you towards would be the Army X-Tech program. The Army X-Tech program, you can write a 3-page white paper, and if it aligns with one of the verticals that they're looking at, you can win, I think it's $10,000 initially.
Yeah, can I get that? So it used to be you would just win the competition money, which would usually cap out around $50,000.
Yeah.
The latest Army X-Tech competition, first round is $5,000, second round is $10,000, third round is first 3 places take 150, 25, 4 through 12 take 12,000, and then from those 12 awardees, up to 12 will get selected to do a phase 1 or a direct to phase 2 for $2 million. So they have substantially upped their game from just, $50,000 prize money to a $2 million contract.
So I know this is a little bit advanced, but what they're talking about, X-Tech, it starts with the prize challenge authority, and then it goes into SIPR. So if they like what you're doing, they'll give you like a prize, which is the smaller dollars, but it's basically saying, we like what you got, let's figure it out, and then they allow you into the SIPR program.
Yeah.
You kind of get the down select.
And that's in
What
November,
I
right?
understand is,
They do it a couple times a year.
Yeah.
so what I understand is you come up with a certain concept of what a solution looks like, and even though you don't understand what the problem is.
So, to your point, if you're looking for a problem, you're trying to figure out how to apply your technology to defense logistics from an Army perspective.
A real problem.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying, from an Army perspective, I would search, it's called the, Tested Logistics Cross-Functional Team. So the way the Army is structured right now is they have problems they've identified and what they want to focus on for the future, and they've assigned what they call a cross-functional team to each one of those problems or several of those problems. And so they're the champions of those problems. And what they are is a combination of acquisition officers and operational officers who have experience in that set, and they are the ones who are defining what's called requirements, because this is the ugly part of the PV. It's kind of like if you and your wife decide to buy a car, right? Your wife is saying what's what the car has to do, but then you're the one who has to purchase it, or vice versa. It doesn't matter. But basically, it's two separate entities instead of working together. So the idea of taking a cross-functional team is how you have that conversation at the beginning, like, hey, the person who's going to be spending the money and building the car is also the person helping develop the requirements. It's the person who will follow. But Army, it's Destined Logistics cross-functional team. They've got websites out there and they publish them. You're probably closer to the problem than I am, but they've got stuff out there. These are the problems we're trying to solve. That can start your way of trying to understand logistics.
And especially, like, most of the time for these topics, you'll have to define what is your product mission fit, right? What defense need are you solving? And then to Ben's point, your white paper, right? They give you like a template, which is nice. They're saying, hey, this is the format to fill out, and then you tell us what your idea is and how it is going to fit within the product mission fit, right? So if you're thinking we kind of solve what Eric is saying, you can kind of marry those two together. The X-Tech program is where maybe this is the best fit, because there's not this, like, you have to have found a champion. There is programs where you had to have, like, maybe had real solid conversations with, an airman within the Air Force or a soldier within the Army to say, holy crap, I love what you have. We're gonna go, date each other for a while, and I'm gonna sign off on what they call a customer memo, right? You don't have to do that for the X-Tech program. You just kind of have to throw your idea over the fence, and then they evaluate it and say, oh yeah, that's really freaking cool. Like, I'm gonna put some $5,000 or $10,000 for us to kind of figure out if we want to, like, date a lot.
And it's easier for me to assign homework because I'm not doing the work, but a way is basically a process map. I mean, it's the thing about logistics, it's all open source. And so you basically can pick whichever logistics pipeline you're interested in. Say, okay, how does a bullet get to a tank at the front of a crate or whatever, and just process map that out. I mean, it's going to suck because you're going to have to do a lot of Google, but it's all open source out there. And to that point is, once you understand the process, then you can look at your technology. Okay, where can I take this 27? Because the dirty little secret about logisticians, from my experience, is the successful ones are the ones who've already figured out how to skip the 27 steps legally and make stuff happen, because it's like big. That's a whole other discussion. So we can talk afterwards.
Yeah, and then the second program I would point you to is Air Force Open Topic Program.
Sorry, say that again?
The Air Force Open Topics.
Open topics.
Yeah,
Okay.
all this innovation research grant program. They just did phase 1 of that program earlier this month. And then in May, the direct phase 2 of the topic program applications will be due. To do a direct phase 2, you actually have to find a customer and an end user within the Department of the Air Force. So it's Air Force or Space Force. that says that your technology solves their mission problem. Phase one is simply the government paying you for your time to do a feasibility study, essentially. And phase one, the most important part of the phase one proposal is a slide deck, which can be as little as 15 or at most 25 slides. So, and the next phase one cycle, I think, opens in August, closes in September. Eric, question for you for bootstrapping a defense-only company. When folks think about starting a company, there's sort of a tendency for people who are really passionate about it to want to put everything they have into it and work all hours of the day to try to get it started. A lot of people, if you're going to be bootstrapping a company, advise people to work their day job, work on the company on the side until it's generating enough cash flow to make enough money for them to do what they need to do. Do you have an opinion on that, and what was it like for you to do in person?
So I was not there during the lean years. I was hired on afterwards, but I do know from the founders did have a day job for quite a while until they got contracts, and then it became now. I will say that the downside of that too is it goes back to being, I guess we've had the luxury of, because our primary contract's been a DIU, Protec, OTA. We've had some other stuff, SOCOM, and a few SIVers, but SIVers again are it's not recurring revenue like the DIU, Protec, OTA has been kind of the big bill pair, if you will. But with that said, I would say is be careful too, because the challenge you're running into is it's a chicken or the egg. This is I think it's more like art versus a science, and I know we got out ahead of our shadow. We started looking at commercial, so we hired a head of commercial, and then she started working all this energy stuff and realized that that's a whole other nut to crack. We don't have the expertise there, but in the process, we have to have Salesforce because we're a startup. We have to have all these different things, and we basically bought out a whole lot of these because there's lots of companies will pay. We'll start about half the people who come by with digital marketers trying to sell me their stuff. And you got to be careful because you can spend a whole lot of money for little gain. At the end of the day, it's, does Salesforce really give you, if you don't have customers, does it really give you that much? It's a very expensive CRM. It's a cool guy thing, but Salesforce. But I'm using HubSpot for free right now. Okay, it does everything I need to do, which is track my contacts. I'd be like, oh, I sent them an email. Okay. Don't get it, just be careful because you're going to get to a point where you think you got traction if you're bootstrapping, and you got to, even same thing if you get funding, and just be very careful. I would caution that to that point of, there's going to be a time where it's like, okay, it's time to jump in both, feet, but you just be mindful of your cash flows because, like I said, we've had a point, and that's the other challenge you got when you're, especially with DoD, is we are right now at the whim of a CR, and we've been very lucky to this point, but there's some challenges, and we're looking at creative financing, etc. But I hope that answers your question. I'm just interested in what you guys do. What I've also noticed about Cattle Factory is pre-pandemic, just talking to people, you find out that you're learning a lot from each other, but you're also really new interesting technology that you can incorporate. There's a lot of these proposals. The biggest challenge I see with DoD stuff is they want an end-to-end solution, but the reality is, the Joint Strike Fighter is built by hundreds of companies who are all making subcomponents, and Lockheed Martin straps them all together, but at the end of the day, it's like, so a way of helping out your technology getting picked up is to partner. So, for example, our big contract, we have an AIML company we're working with that's Boston-based, and a radar company. So we're actually kind of a group of companies that are working on that contract, which is bringing better value to the DoD. So I'll just say, so I was curious what you want to go on the table. I'm interested in what you guys do. So I'll shut up.
I'm Javon, and I work
ONR, so Office of Navy Research. And in particular, I'm a programmer of hardware, like radios, FPGA, GPS, AIS, all that type of stuff. And yeah, radio is my biggest passion. So that's what we do, yeah. And I'm a programmer, so you know, all those words you said, like SBIR and all that stuff, I hear that a lot. And actually right now we're doing a DIU proposal. And yeah, it's all these words.
Communications one?
I'm sorry?
Is that the contested communications?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And you were talking earlier about like having engineers like, yeah, I was like, oh yeah, that was me a couple hours ago. Well, we have people writing it, but they love coming to me to ask for like definitions and stuff. But yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. Yeah. So yeah, that's what we do. And Fab 5 is where I'm at. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out, like, understand the business side. Because, like, for example, I understand that, like, you know, you have DARPA. You got TRL 1 through like 3 or something. Then you've got like the ONR, for example, like TRL 4 to 7 or something, you know. So is DIU like TRL 1 type of thing, like in lieu of the DARPA?
TIU seems to be
I would say like
off the shelf stuff.
Yeah, like 6+. Or
Yeah.
DIU, yeah.
That makes sense because commercial stuff that's already out there, which brings it to TRL 6.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know, they like to say that their vision is accelerating commercial technology for national security.
Oh, that the commercial tech, okay.
Yeah.
It's obvious now, actually, yeah. That, in my mind,
No, it's a great question
right
because
now.
the challenge you run into is in all the defense spaces, you get these people come to you and they're like, I want to build a rocket launcher. You're like, dude.
Yeah. All right, cool.
They don't have that commercial.
I work with, in talks with Zachary. He's your R&D, head of R&D, right?
Miller, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the guy I was just talking about that likes to come to me and ask me these questions.
Oh, that's the guy you're talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly closely, yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
So you have a question?
Yeah, what is the startup that you're working with? It's cybersecurity?
Cyber physical security is what we do.
So it provides security towards national.
Kind of like industrial systems, so pumps and things like that.
Pumps?
Yeah, pumps, like for example, pumps on a ship, or like PLCs in a plant.
What does your cybersecurity do to the pumps?
Oh, so okay, so typically they'll protect the firmware and the PLCs in the firmware. That's an example.
So there will be a software installed on the ships?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And it provides security towards that Navy ships?
One example would be like, you know, Stuxnet?
Stuxnet?
Yeah.
This is the first time I'm hearing.
Stuxnet is an interesting one. So, like uranium enrichment facility, their PLCs were hacked, and it caused the centrifuges to spin very fast. And they spin very fast already.
So the data got hacked?
The PLC.
What is PLC?
It's a computer that controls the motor, for example.
Motor for
the
ship.
Programmable logic controller, but it stands for.
So, yeah. Okay, sorry, yeah.
Do you guys have time or you want to go very fast?
Well, I mean, I'd love talking about this stuff, but
So the Navy ship software got hacked, that's what you're trying to say?
No, what I'm saying is that there's a facility that had a bunch of centrifuges that enrich uranium, and the computers that control these centrifuges cause the centrifuges to go faster than they were designed for, but at the same time reporting that they're at a good condition. And then these centrifuges it's very hard to obtain.
They are going out of control, that means it's being hacked?
The PLC's been hacked, which
So
in
your
turn-
cybersecurity helped it to...
Oh, no. That happened in the past.
That's why you think that these things So you're just giving me an example?
Yeah, an example, yeah.
Okay, so if that happens, your cybersecurity will be helping that.
If that was happening again, I would love to be part of the team to defend against
Okay,
it.
and what problem that you have solved using your cybersecurity stuff? Any real world example that you have?
Oh, yeah, we have some real world stuff, in comms, in the comm side of things is where I've been, mostly in, yeah. Communication. Yeah.
Using your cybersecurity has all the
Yeah,
communication between?
Between like, AWS cloud and with a surveillance system on water.
Surveillance system.
Yeah, camera radar and stuff on buoy. Yeah, I'm more than happy.
So
to
surveillance system on the water got hacked, and you also have a security system and
No,
getting communicated between AWS and.
It's all the firmware stuff. Bottom line is, he's dealing with a lot of challenges with firmware. Yeah.
So where the hacking that happened, it happened on the surveillance on the ship?
No,
So
it's
not that something happened, it's basically the challenge is there's a lot of vulnerabilities because a lot of stuff was developed before this capability kind of existed. And so it's more of a hardening systems already exist. So you, for example, you've heard about the cars can get hacked now, all kinds of stuff can get hacked, like Bluetooth, it's crazy. And so he is hardening defense systems such as giant ships for the Navy to keep them from getting. Because, I mean, think about it, it's a lot cheaper to put out a virus that can slag your engine on a destroyer than to shoot a missile at it.
Yeah.
And plus, you don't have to worry about getting blamed for it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what he's doing.
So where did you start with your work here in Austin?
Yeah, here.
Sorry, bud.
Y'all were talking about red tape and cash flow a minute ago. So you talk more like red tape as you work with the programs getting towards an award or like post-award to cash in the bank, red tape working with the government agencies or?
I would say one of the biggest challenges I think I've seen on both sides
Months to years.
is access to the product. If you get a contract, I think the next thing for your kickoff award or your kickoff meeting is you need to be as, or not need to be, ask for and demand as much access to the problem as possible, because I think the challenge a lot of people have is either the TPOC gets assigned gig, because it's not a full-time job. The TPOC you're dealing with has got a full-time job.
And that's technical point of contact, right? So that's the first, okay, yeah.
So the joke is, in the military, it's like, you know, you gotta keep two people happy, right? Just your boss and your boss's boss, right? Your rater and your senior rater. And so they're making PowerPoint slides to keep their boss happy, and they're good. So you're being successful might not be in their, you know, what they see as being successful, unless they are a person, if you're lucky, who is passionate about the problem they're trying to solve. So one of those things is, as a company that you can do is try to get as much access to the problem as possible and better understand the problem. Because I think what's interesting I've seen is the more you get access to the problem, the more you realize that what they had said in the proposal wasn't even the problem.
And the time that has gone on since that.
Yes.
Right, since they issued, the request for proposal.
Yeah, it's a time or the classic example of, you know, a pilot wants a better airplane, when you say, well, what exactly is your airplane trying to do? And you can do it with a, you know, I know it's, well, I don't know Air Force, because you say, well, I don't need an airplane, I just need a drone. You can do that same thing. I mean, the Army just canceled their helicopter program because they're like, why are you spending all the money on, you know? Understanding, it's really cool to have outside companies come in who have a different perspective and look at the problem and go, oh, well, this is your problem right here, you just tweak this, but that's the challenge, I think, is getting access, because
Yeah.
the
I would say
structure-
also, you know, the expectation management that, you know, obviously when you put in your proposal, it can take anywhere from like, you know, AFWERX, when you're doing a SIBR, right, they've really done a really phenomenal job of accelerating the evaluation time from 60 to 90 days. You know, before it could be anywhere from 6 to 9 to 10 months, right, from when you put in the proposal. If you're in the...
One of our phase 2s took a year and a half.
So yeah, I mean, it really depends on what, you know, what type of contract you're bidding on, how long you're gonna hear back. So that's kind of that red tape. Once you're on contract, you know, putting in your invoice, dealing with, you know, the PIE system and wider workflow. The Prompt Payment Act says you should be paid within 30 days. You're a small business. I'm assuming. So, by law, you should be paid within 30 days or that invoice should accrue interest. So knowing your rights, right, and then, being able to recoup those costs. Typically they won't pay it, but it's like you can say like, hey, you didn't pay me within 30 days. So just like those type of things, and knowing who your contracting officer is, and then obviously like in your contract you have an ombudsman. There's an ombudsman clause, and that person is your you can poke the bear there. I mean, it's not ideal, but like an ombudsman basically is your person to say, I'm not being treated correctly, right? Or fairly. They're usually, there's somebody called out in that clause that is the person for the command that can give you a little bit more hey, what's going on with my stuff?
Generally, you wrote email reminders to your Depop to check the letter workflow, because I was a Depop who missed a submission, and I felt horrible when I found it. I had to go back and approve it, because the Depop has to approve each one of your submissions for your invoice
For
to
your
start.
invoice.
And that starts 30 days for DFAS to pay you.
Yeah. So that's a lot of red tape, especially in the SIVER program.
Not seeing it.
Right, they're not seeing it. So.
Yeah, I have a question.
Mhm.
Are there any venture capitalists in this room?
I
So,
don't think
can I
so.
get an introduction of who you are?
Yeah,
I think we're all
It's already
a combination of founders,
Founders,
and
founders of startups.
founders, yeah.
Yeah, so
Mainly
this
sellers,
meetup
yeah.
is, open to anyone who has an interest in defense tech, defense innovation. So we have people who, have a background in contracting and acquisition, and also founders. I'm not a founder. My day job is, I just push code, but, passionate from my background, in the Army, seeing being sort of before the wave of innovation, and things like DIU, and thinking if we had programs like DIU, just a couple years before, then we would have had, better tech, better software solutions. But so, I mean, this is just an effort to bring together people who are, interested in these topics, have that background, and
Entrepreneurs.
Just to have a conversation, this main theme of this meetup, not any kind of.
thanks,
No.
Marcus, nice meeting you.
Maybe we're trying to talk about paths to funding, right?
And
people
how
with ideas.
all of
Well,
the, all the,
here-
how they have.
Let's-
resolved it.
If I could turn it around, so are you a founder? Do you have a product? Or you have an idea?
I'm interested to found something,
Mhm.
like a startup maybe,
Mhm.
in different industries.
Mhm. And do you have a background in
I
engineering or
don't
software?
have any background, I just have an idea in my mind.
Mhm.
If that works.
Yeah, I think one of the ideas in the group was to bring together people who have ideas and have sort of that potential to network. Yeah, and so you have an idea, somebody else has an idea, then.
And
Yeah.
So what we were doing though
whether they can.
is we were these guys were going around and introducing their company real quick, so if we do that, maybe those ideas will help spawn kind of your discussion. So,
Something.
yeah, I think you were next to her.
Yes, hi, I'm Solomon. With Nextdoor Solutions, we're an AI/ML company, a software company. Our primary product is human language technology. So we had some folks come out of the intel agency, some targeters and linguists, and we came up with some functions that could bridge the gap with what they're lacking. So, speaker recognition, speaker identification. So, for example, if your voice, if there's a 10-hour recording, we can detect where you've spoken, if you spoke in Chinese, if you said certain words, it'll flag that. So you can imagine a lot of use cases there. And we do niche dialects too. So there's Arabic, and then the MSA Arabic, we have Iraqi and Yemeni as well. And we have some other tools as well. And we went through the DIU years ago, and 3 or 4 demos with them, and they said once you hit past performance, give us a call back. I'm thinking we can't sell this to the local sheriff's department and then get that past performance. But years later, I found I probably can't sell it to the sheriff's department. So we're going to try to approach some law enforcement. But we did recently get our first customer with the USAID. We're integrated with one of their applications to do the translation there. So now we're going to go back to all the people that said, get your past performance. And,
Have you talked to EQTEL?
That's great.
I came to the Capital Factory, I talked to one of the engineers at Intel.
Yeah.
I've got a good solid contact there to demo for them. I do know they deal with some competition that we have with them, but I know they sign multiple companies that do the same stuff. But no, it's a great tool, a lot of use cases. It's just getting right in front of the right teapot or the contracting officer that's in the weeds with this, because people will say, oh, it's a great tool, but how do you know what's being used? And then you have these other companies that want to tell you, give me $60,000, I'll sell your product for you. They don't know your product from anything else. So we've been through all the different various situations, primes, valuable servers, but we're getting there. It's very slow, but we'll see how it goes in the next few years.
So the tool that you have developed used for improving the linguistics for different people, mind, or
So it can help with
what
language.
is it your tool do?
It does translation, so think Google Translate. but it
Like
works-
Google Translate.
Right, but it works well off the cloud. You can hear that deployed on a Docker, TensorFlow, what have you. And the accuracy is higher.
Is it working right now? Is it live?
It's working, yeah.
How many customers are there?
So we have 2 customers now. Yeah.
2?
Yeah.
You said USAID.
So how many?
Bill and Gates Foundation invests in a lot of stuff like that too, because I know they were doing some tracking software, tracking their, when they're pushing relief supplies into Yemen before all this stuff blew up. They're very interesting as far as non-NGO kind of opportunities as well for them, USAID, but I'm sure there might be opportunities there.
Yeah, we'll look at it. They might have some grants that would be useful.
I was just random partnership. I've spoken with a company that does a lot of, they work with really large companies like Walmart, Costco, people like that to do a lot of like theft detection. But one of their passions and the reason why they started the company is to actually combat the child abduction crisis that we're faced with. So something like that could be really applicable to them, and they have not unlimited funding, but we'll look at partner, I'm sure, at least in a kind of discussion with them.
Yeah, I'd be very open to talking to them about that.
Because I mean, that's a use case right there, like, who couldn't get behind that, you know what I mean?
Can you say your name of your company one more time?
Next Earth Solutions.
Next star?
Next Earth. Yeah.
Next
Earth. We're not trying to Space Force. Just
Oh,
we're artificial intelligence, machine learning.
You're like, hey.
So what you're talking about child abduction?
Say
Using AI, you have to detect a child abduction that's going on the planet. Is that what you're trying to talk about?
It's translation software.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Using translation?
He's discovering where their languages came from. So he could pinpoint exactly where the historical background is, where you're from, what part of the country, wherever you're from, based on history.
we don't know if this child's in
Yeah,
what
after-
country in South America is this child in, based on the dialect that's spoken in these different countries. Bingo, they're in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
Yeah, and then if you're looking for a person that may have this, you could identify the speaker as well. Yeah.
Okay, after noticing of what dialect and what language that I'm coming from, what you're doing with the data?
Well, you can tell which region that person may be from, so
Okay.
if they have
And
Texas accents.
what you're trying to figure out is that by telling to whom you are telling, so let's say I'm from India, you figured out that I speak my
What he
language
is
from
referencing
India.
is
So
if they
what
have-
you're trying to tell to me by using that dialect?
It's
So
intelligent.
You're just
Intelligence
segregating
purposes.
me to that demographic, or what you're trying to tell using your translation?
For-
Let's say there is a Google Translate. If I am not able to speak Arabic, it is a use case of if I write there an English sentence, it will just translate into Arabic. That way you'll understand. So that's a good use case. You using your tool, if I speak something, if that is my dialect, or let's say Telugu is the dialect that I come from. So what you're trying to say
You
is,
could identify dialects, and you could narrow down the search.
that's already there.
The use case he's about is targeting. He comes from the intelligence, when he said IC, that's intelligence community. So the use case he's button is targeting. So when you pick up a person on a phone call and it's a person of interest, and I can figure out where you are, then I can fight. When I figure out where you are, then I can kill you. That's the easy button use case. And then there's other use cases. What he's talking about is targeting for child exploitation. So you have videos of children who have been exploited, and those videos have been distributed. You can, based off of their what they're saying, you can find regional dialects and say, okay, this person is in Ecuador, and that's where you
Coming
focus
crime
on.
only, then he has to be free like this.
So I know, I guess I'm trying to ask the question is, are you trying to disprove his use case, or are you trying to better
No, I'm
understand it?
not trying
So-
to disprove his use
Yeah.
case. So by identifying the speech or his dialect or his language from where he's coming from, what you're trying to do, you are using that language and trying to judge him or bring out some opinions out of
He
him.
still doesn't know that. I mean, the point is, he's got.
So
a
your
core
use
tech-
case is
No, no,
vague,
hold on.
it's
Just
not
listen.
so clear as of now.
There is a core technology is developed. He's trying to find out if there are interesting use cases around the world where he can use it. That's as simple as that.
Yeah, I would say also just like flipping the other side of it, like customer service interactions, right? Like I pick up the phone, I'm calling from, so if I have an accent from, I'm from Boston. And over the years, my accent has gotten less pronounced. But if I pick up the phone and I call USAA and, there's something like maybe I feel more comfortable talking to somebody who has an accent from, Massachusetts, the Northeast, versus like I hear somebody from the South, I think, crap, this is not going to go anywhere. So I want to talk to somebody from, like, so like, I think this touches the idea of like, there's multiple uses, there's dual use. So like, yes, targeting, but also customer service, right? So like, there's.
Is that not being solved by Google Translate?
So
It's not embedded into any other, what I've seen a few months ago.
Yeah,
So it's being able to
Use
solve.
I hope Google's not tracking me to kill me.
That's a
I'm
use
not
case.
trying to
Yeah.
get anyone, I'm
That's
just
the
trying
right
to
use
get
case
funding
that
from
is
some.
out there.
Google doesn't always do the accents, they don't always do the accents, they don't always involve. There's different use cases, it's just depending on the customer, it could be used for them in a specific way. I think what he was saying, just to narrow down the search of who you're looking for and.
How many employees do you have?
10.
10. So you have a website?
I do.
I think I want to keep the, sir,
We just
I want to, we have limited time in here, and I want everyone to, for this meetup. No, I appreciate the questions, they're very insightful, but I want to make sure that we get the most out of everyone's time in this space right now. So I want to go over to Glenn, right? Is that Quinn, sorry.
Very nice to meet y'all. I'm the CTO of Air Paragon. We specialize in counter drones, so we do drone detection and drone interception. So we are on the effector side, and also kind of on the AI side when it comes to detection stuff. But yeah, if you want to chat more with it, feel free to bug me afterwards. I want to chat. So
Good
Thanks.
hardware software?
Glenn Becker.
Cool. Nice.
So my name's Ben. I work with Jets Accounting Solutions. Some of you might know me from my time here at Capital Factory. So worked here at the Center for Defense Innovation for a little over a year. Actually helped Glenn and Marcus join the Capital Factory portfolio, and currently work with companies that are pursuing government grants and contracts at Galley. And Alex is our sales lead. So I'll let him talk a little bit about what he does.
Yeah, Gallup Solutions, I do all of our partnerships, all of our sales. Before this, I fell in love with the manufacturing world. Was working with large companies like Ergo, Kohler Company, Ashley Furniture, and then before that, I was an infantry officer, running around the woods shooting things. So.
Yeah, I work for Q Branch. Jess is one of our partners there, and Gallium, one of our channel partners. But we focus on the international space, companies landing here in the U.S. market. They do government contracts, and we do kind of the strategy build of how to enter the U.S. market, both DoD and commercialization.
What do you do at Q?
A whole bunch of things, yeah. No, I run our social media there. So,
What's your startup name?
Q Branch.
Q Branch.
Yep.
It's C-U-E branch.
No, it's Q as in Quebec
Q
dash branch. Yeah.
Branch. Is it a social media company?
No,
It's a DoD and commercialization of.
Yeah, we focus on entering the U.S. market from the international space. So those looking to come to the U.S. market and
So from
move their business, they're already to market, looking to move to the U.S. market.
They facilitate.
So where is it located right now?
So
You're in
we're-
Austin,
yeah,
about 2
we're-
blocks away.
But you want to enter into international market?
I'm sorry?
Vice versa.
Sorry, I want to return to the idea of getting around the room before we open up to like Q&A. So
We're getting there. So I'm Andy. My company is Moraga Technologies, and so we do optoelectronics, and mostly for LiDAR and other applications, optic space, and then some industrial applications. And so we got going with some SBR grants from the National Science Foundation and some private investment. And it's just kind of growing slowly with some commercial opportunities. But I've done quite a few grants, National Science Foundation, Department of Energy, worked on a few projects with the military, kind of as a sub on some other folks that got a contract. So more interested in understanding more about it.
Is it a software?
Defense side.
Yeah. Is it a software that will help different companies? Yeah, software.
So LiDAR,
Product.
No. So we make optoelectronics. So we make mirrors, electronics, I think the mirrors work.
For defense.
Simple stuff, for whoever wants to learn.
Whoever wants to.
But we're in, our biggest customer is an autonomous vehicle company.
Thomas Vehicle.
And they're building, they build the car, they do the software, they do the LiDAR. So our technology is in the LiDAR system.
So they use your mirrors to build the car windows?
They use our mirrors to build LiDAR systems.
LiDAR system.
And their LiDAR system creates a 3D image of the world, so the car doesn't run into
Okay, the glass will project a 3D image of that. Am I right?
No, so, I mean,
we can talk about it later.
yeah, it's,
Sorry. My name is Lloyd. I had no foot in this industry, I must admit. This was quite spontaneous, my decision to attend this event. I mostly work as a creative director in advertising around the world. And a journalist. I've done interviews and written commentaries and biographies all over, well, transcontinental, so all across the world. And I've only been here a week. While I'm here, I was talking about related therapy, because I took an interest in defense as a key word and how it would affect the future of America. Because, well, it stems from patriotism on my part. And I know that with the commercialization of the war industry, increasingly it's becoming privatized and less on the government's end. But these private companies that sell and deal with, independent of any sovereign influence. Yes, that's my cause here and my reason.
thanks, Lloyd.
So you developed something for war industry?
He's a journalist.
I don't understand maybe half of what you guys are talking about, but that's the whole point. I've come here to learn what it is you do.
What is your idea that you're trying to pitch?
I have a new health science startup using the Indian Vedas. Have you heard of?
No.
So Veda is a book written by Hindu gods. There are 4 Vedas. There are different particular Vedas related to formulation.
I'm sorry, you're nothing to
No, I jump text. Yeah, it's a religious text, but out of which we can make a startup.
Okay.
Let me complete. I didn't complete it yet. So using those formulations, you can make a formula which would treat different types of diseases. Let's say this is Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. These are the 2 diseases that I want to eradicate. And there would be more new diseases that which I am unaware of that can be treated using these formulations, which would help people undergoing different types of diseases right now.
Are you Austin based or are you traveling here?
I'm in Austin based. I'm right over across different block, across the street,
Gotcha.
Computer Street.
Interesting.
From there. So, using those formulations, you can develop a different kinds of health science medicine that would help resolve the disease that people are undergoing. That is one. So for that needs to happen, there needs to be a lab that which I'm in need of, and people who are interested to work in that direction. And apart from that, there will be a cosmetic industry pitch that I want to give to bring out a new cosmetic product cosmetic product which would be helpful for different types of skins rather than spoiling the skin, which would give a good there is 10 more minutes.
I think Mike
Yeah.
was still
Yeah.
listed.
Let me just, sorry. So I'm Michael Golden, I'm a student at ACC, computer science. I have a
So when
I'm sorry,
Yeah, yeah,
let's just. Yeah.
So, but now I'm at ACC, I run a computer science club. We have a hackathon coming up. We previously partnered with Scale. AI had a hackathon at our school. So in December, testing the Donovan platform. I don't know if you've heard of that. That's a LLM for like intelligence officers. And yeah, now looking to bridge the gap and get ready to go into industry. And so that's not me.
Is it the software factory at ACC, or are you separate from?
No, I'm not with the software factory.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm in contact with, and actually met with a guy who replaced the outgoing software factory director of learning. Yeah. So, yeah.
No, thank you. Thanks everyone for the introductions, and I think it shows that there's a diversity of products, and I heard a lot of products, and like where I work is like services, right? So like there's product and there's services, and I know I don't think anyone else is really on the services side, but I think that's one of the challenges that we experience is like how does a service company transition, like productize what they do. So that's always something that we're always trying to figure out. But I thank you everyone for the introductions and hearing. I hear a lot of amazing things going on, and I think it really speaks to the potential of this meetup and this space and Austin too, right? Like I think Austin is a fantastic place to be. I think with this density of companies and different components of innovation in the defense industry, I think it's very productive and fruitful for everyone who wants to be involved in it. So I don't know if we want to round out, if Jessica or Eric, you want to.
I think the next one in person will be June.
Mm-hmm.
So stay tuned on Meetup for that. But we will be obviously doing this again. It's the second Thursday?
Second or third, yeah.
Second or third. So just stay tuned, right? Because we will be providing a virtual experience, if that's podcast, some way to plug in and get content for the group. So we've got a really exciting idea to kind of keep sharing for next month. We were kind of teasing that out, I think, with Jim and in the lobby. So if you're a part of that, you're kind of already in the know. But we're really excited about kind of reinvigorating this group. If you have ideas or things that you're really curious about and things you're I really, to advance my idea or my community or things that I want to do, send that to Michael and Alex, and we would love to just
get a topic for the day.
Exactly, things that you want to learn about. We are a community that can reach into we've got a wide reach, so we could bring either speakers or just we want to know what you guys want to learn about, right? So please send that so we are bringing value and not just thinking things that we have. So I have some cards. I think some of y'all have cards, so let's just make sure we have time for that.
Do the card thing. No, we definitely have time. I also have the parking validation slips for anyone.
Oh,
Yeah.
Very nice.
Love that.
Yeah.
Of
course.
No, good.
Park on the street.
You guys are good. I mean,
apart stuff. The ones that aren't gonna fall apart.
Yeah, I think you got them from like.
Yeah.
Hey folks, I just wanna respect the policies of capital factor. We're gonna clear out and I'm gonna push all the chairs back. I wanna thank everyone. Watch for communications from the meetup, as was mentioned, and thank you everyone for coming out. It was awesome.
They were disapproving grade. You look unimpressed. His face. You didn't take any pictures for like that. Oh, did you want some pictures? You should. What's this thing? Yeah, you would know. Where's
I think the conversation might be, I think there's a potential to, in the online, but also like Slack or Discord or something, you know.
Hurry up.
You go to South Sudan and the refugee camp, or the USAID camp there, and some Americans came out here. Oh.
We got a LinkedIn photo. Sorry. Sorry. I was like, who's in charge of marketing around this place?
I think they use investments because they have their own NGO, and I know I talked to a guy that had they had sold their app. They were gamifying stuff, so really it's more of an intelligence function. Right. Yeah, what it was gamifying themselves based off the IC. Like, hey, is there any bread on the shelf? Right. And it would be like,
yeah, this is a good photo. Yeah, look at all these people like showed up.
And the engineer,
Thanks, Casey.
a couple of other guys.
All right. I like to be on that so I don't look that short.
There's a fish on
I have a hammer.
Okay.
Please use it.
Lovely. That's not.
yeah, their app
Thank
basically
you.
gamifying stuff.
Thank
So
you guys for
their challenge was they were trying to see if their
their aid that they were pushing on Yemen was getting where they needed to go, but they couldn't send people to go check out because it was so dangerous. So what they do is
Nice to meet you.
they download these apps, and so they would have their phone, and they would basically give you like tokens, or your own token. So you're basically you're Yemeni.
Yeah.
You're collecting billable education, intelligence collection, answering certain information requirements. They'll look back all that stuff. So it was interesting use case of something that, of course, that I see was like, oh my God, this is awesome. The past couple, but they were using it for months. Yes, we're giving out their stuff more.
The education aspect of Germany is different because collecting our data for our language model for Yemeni, it was challenging, a lot longer than we thought it would take. So doing those painstaking models is where we are right now.